This video is a recollection of my war experiences written as the author while I was assigned to the Americal Division in July 1967-1968 and attached to the 23rd Medical Battalion headquarters in July. The book is simply more than a war story. Each chapter details an assortment of assignments I received during my tour of duty. It talks about the Tet Offensive. It talks about the costs and significant events of the war. Talks about the high count fatalities, wounded, as well as the oppositions and protests of these deaths because the media brought the war to the living room. Not about a political reasoning or military strategies, just a simple record of 365 days of hell. These chapters are filled with different experience, from line medics to bush patrol, dust off, medvac, armor cav, joining different search and destroy missions, recognizing brave military police actions, and demonstrating the vulnerability high-risk convoys on Highway 1. Personalizes the setting of photographs and memories, combat fatigue and PTSD, before it was even legitimately recognized as a legitimate mental illness. Additionally, there are short stories on how the war is morally or socially acceptable or unacceptable under certain terms and ideologies. Touches briefly on the psychological drawback of survivor guilt syndrome and the paradox of making war. Dedicates a major explanation of the MedCap and other civic action programs the government's designed, developed, and funded to win the hearts of the South Vietnamese people. It's not about a war, it's about people. And it's not for everyone. Target groups are Vietnam veterans and their families, as well as those interested in the history of this conflict. The author, or myself, tries to focus on the medics' character, their courage, valor, integrity, and compassion, how they sanctified their honor during this war. It has happened after all, a diary that was done 50 years ago. I didn't want to write a book about the ugliness of the war, but I wanted to demonstrate that the war brought out impacts of human beings, good and bad, and they rationalized why war are fought to begin with, even today, as we see our country still struggling overseas in places where there'll always be war. During the Civil War, General Sherman alluded to the fact that war is hell. There's no doubt about that. Read it, watch it. You'll see there's a lot of hell in there. You'll understand that the Vietnam War was more than battles, injuries, or deaths. It was about people. That's what this book focuses on. People, emotions. Simplified. Non-fictional, it's not filled with specific battles, brutality, and horror. Simply a prose and mere raw literature attempt to humanize the war and the reality. Eyes open, there's some humanity to this story. It should be told. And I hope you do. And I hope you understand the roles, the duties, and responsibilities of the medic weren't just combat related, but rather specific illustrations in this book how they act during this type of hit-and-run warfare, and associated with the concerns of civilian casualties, humane treatment, psychological struggles, and civic or community services with locals during this time. This book is not a war story. This book is about a story about people I met during my tour of the Vietnam War. I thank you for watching and buying my book.